Hey there, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be diving into the world of prompt engineering. You know that art of talking to AI?
Oh, yeah,
You've probably seen the headlines about ChatGPT and all these large language models.
for sure.
But have you ever wondered how to really make them sing? It's like having a Stradivarius violin, beautiful, but it needs a skilled hand to really make the music.
It does.
And today, we're
Yeah,
handing you the bow.
that's a great analogy. We've got a stack of research papers and articles here
Yeah.
that really unpack the nuances of prompt engineering.
Okay.
It's more than just typing in a question. There's a real art to it.
Okay, so let's unpack this. So
Yeah.
for someone just starting out,
Yeah.
what's the big picture? What is prompt engineering?
In the simplest terms, it's
Yeah.
about crafting effective instructions or prompts to guide a large language model, or LLM, towards the desired output. It's
Ah.
like giving a master chef a recipe.
Yeah.
The clearer and more detailed your instructions,
hmm
the better the dish.
So it's more than just, hey, Chat GPT, write me a poem.
Exactly. It's about understanding how these LLMs think and tailoring your prompts to elicit the best possible response.
hmm
Think of it as a collaborative conversation rather than just a command.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, our understanding of prompt engineering has really evolved, hasn't it? Didn't it all start with much simpler language models?
It did. We had earlier models like Word2Vec,
Right.
which were great for representing words,
Mm-hmm.
but they lacked the ability to really understand complex language structures.
Right.
Then came the pre-trained language models like Elmo and BERT
Right.
that revolutionized natural language processing.
Right. Elmo could actually grasp the different meanings of a word depending on the context. That
Yeah.
was a big leap, wasn't it?
Elmo, huge. It paved the way for the emergence of large language models, or LLMs, like
Right.
GPT-3 and ChatGPT,
Yeah.
which are capable of generating human-quality text and performing a wide range of tasks.
Wow.
This is where prompt engineering really took center stage.
Because suddenly
Yeah,
these LLMs could do so much more, but needed better guidance to do it.
precisely. The sheer power of LLMs demanded a more sophisticated approach to communication. Researchers discovered that these models had an uncanny ability to follow instructions.
Wow.
And that's where prompt engineering comes in.
It's like having a powerful engine, but needing a skilled driver to get the most out of it.
Uh,
Now, you mentioned something about researchers discovering a catalog of prompt patterns.
yes,
This sounds like a treasure trove of techniques
It is.
for crafting effective prompts.
it is. One of the papers we have actually describes these patterns and compares them to software patterns,
Oh, wow.
emphasizing their reusability and adaptability across different tasks.
So these patterns are like tried and true recipes for getting LLMs to do what you want.
Exactly. For example, the meta-language creation pattern allows you to define new, unambiguous notations or shorthand within your prompts.
Okay.
This is incredibly useful for tasks that involve specific domain knowledge, like describing complex graphs to an LLM.
So you're essentially creating a mini language that the LLM understands,
You
or
are.
in the prompt itself. That's pretty clever.
It is. And then you have patterns like the output automator,
hmm
which focuses on getting the LLM to generate executable code
Right.
that can automate a series of steps.
Yeah.
This is revolutionary for streamlining workflows and freeing up human brain power for more creative tasks.
Imagine being able to tell an LLM,
Yeah.
hey, deploy this application to the cloud, and it just writes the entire script for you.
Exactly. But as you can imagine, the effectiveness of this pattern heavily relies on the context you provide in your prompt. The LLM needs enough information to understand exactly what you're asking it to automate.
Makes sense. You can't just say, automate this and expect magic. You need to provide the right ingredients, so to speak.
Right. And then we have the flipped interaction pattern,
Yeah.
which is all about front-loading your prompts with as much information as possible to make the interaction with the LLM more efficient. It's like giving someone a detailed map before they set out on a journey, minimizing the need for them to stop and ask for directions.
So instead of asking a series of back and forth questions to gather information, you give the LLM a comprehensive briefing up front.
That's the idea. The
Right.
paper even suggests that instead of simply stating deploy to the cloud, specify deploy to Amazon AWS EC2.
Right.
The more details, the less ambiguity for the LLM.
Got to be specific, front load the information, and watch the LLM work its magic. Okay, we've talked about efficiency in creating mini languages, but what about when you want to influence the style or tone of the LLM's response?
Yeah.
Is there a pattern for that?
Absolutely. The persona pattern lets you assign a specific persona to the LLM,
Okay.
which influences its output style and focus.
Huh.
It's like telling an actor to play a particular character.
Right.
It changes their delivery and perspective.
So I could tell ChatGPT to act like a cybersecurity expert during a code review.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a Shakespearean playwright while writing a sonnet.
Precisely. You're essentially tapping into different facets of the LLM's capabilities by giving it a specific role to play.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is where things get really creative and fun.
It is.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have these LLMs that can follow instructions, understand our made-up languages,
Yep.
automate tasks, and even take on different personas. But what about when our questions are a bit vague? Is there a pattern to help us refine those fuzzy questions?
There is. It's called question refinement, and it helps the LLM refine vague or ambiguous questions
Okay.
by taking the context into account. It's like the LLM is saying, hold on, let me make sure I understand exactly what you're asking.
So if I'm a developer asking about authentication,
Yes,
the LLM might refine the question
it might.
based on knowing I'm working on a Python web application
Right.
using a specific framework.
Exactly. It's all about making the communication between you and the LLM as clear as possible to get the most accurate and helpful results.
This is already so much more than I thought prompt engineering was. But what if there are multiple ways to solve a problem? Does the LLM just pick one? Or is there a way to explore different options?
There's definitely a way to explore. The alternative approaches pattern encourages the LLM to suggest multiple solutions to a given task. It's like having a brainstorming session
Oh, nice.
with a super intelligent partner.
So instead of just giving me one answer, it could offer several different options, each with its own pros and cons.
Precisely. You could even guide it to suggest alternative approaches specifically for deployment
Oh,
or for specific implementation decisions. This opens up a whole world of possibilities and helps
Oh.
you think outside the box.
I love that. It's like turning a
Right.
single answer system into something much more dynamic and creative. Okay, I'm starting to see how these patterns can really elevate prompt engineering from just typing in a question
Yeah.
to something much more strategic.
That's exactly it. It's about understanding the nuances of LLMs and using these patterns as tools to unlock their full potential.
So we've talked about efficiency, mini languages, personas, refining questions, and exploring alternatives. This is already a lot to take in.
Yes.
But before we get overwhelmed,
Yeah.
I think it's time to shift gears
Okay.
and talk about something crucial.
Okay.
How do we know
Yeah.
if an LLM is actually doing a good job?
Right.
I mean, how do you even evaluate something like this?
That's a great question, and it's one that researchers are constantly grappling with. Evaluating LLMs is a complex process that goes beyond just checking for factual accuracy. It also involves assessing things like fluency,
Yeah.
coherence, and even the ability to reason logically.
So it's not just about getting the right answer,
No.
but also about how that answer is presented
Yes.
and the thought process behind it.
Exactly. It's about evaluating the quality and depth of the LLM's response.
And how do researchers do that? Are there specific tests or benchmarks?
There are some of the papers we have mentioned benchmarks like MMLU, BBH, TidyQ, and MGSM. These benchmarks cover a diverse range of tasks, from question answering and code generation
Okay.
to translation and summarization.
So it's like an LLM Olympics,
Yeah.
where they compete in different events to see who comes out on top.
You could say that, and just like in the Olympics,
Yeah.
there's always room for improvement. One of the biggest challenges researchers are tackling right now is the issue of hallucination.
Hallucination. Wait, are we talking about LLM seeing things that aren't there?
Not in the literal sense.
Okay.
In the world of LLMs, hallucination refers to the tendency to generate outputs that sound plausible,
Okay.
but are factually incorrect or nonsensical.
Oh, I see. So it's like the LLM is making stuff up,
Yes.
but it does it in a way that's so convincing you might not even realize it's wrong.
That's the tricky part. It's one of the biggest hurdles researchers are working on.
Okay.
These LLMs are trained on massive amounts of data,
Right.
but sometimes they make connections that aren't actually valid or they misinterpret information.
So it's like they have all this knowledge, but don't always know how to use it correctly.
That's a good way to put it. And it highlights why evaluating LLMs and addressing these challenges is so crucial,
Yeah.
especially if we're going to rely on them for important tasks.
Absolutely. This is all so fascinating. We've gone from the basics of prompt engineering
Yes.
to exploring these amazing patterns,
Uh,
and even touched on the complexities of evaluating these powerful LLMs, it feels like we've covered a lot of ground already.
we have, but we've only just scratched the surface.
Of course.
There's so much more to explore in the world of prompt engineering.
Well, luckily for us, this is just part one of our deep dive.
That's right.
We've got 2 more parts coming up.
Yes.
Where we'll continue to unravel the mysteries and possibilities
Yeah.
of this incredible technology.
That's right. In the next part, we'll delve deeper into the cutting-edge research that's pushing the boundaries of prompt engineering
Okay.
and how it's being applied in various fields. It's going to be an exciting ride.
I can't wait. So join us next time as we continue our journey into the fascinating world of prompt engineering. Until then, keep those prompts sharp.
Yes. Welcome back to the deep dive.
It's great to be back, ready to dive deeper into the world of prompt engineering. Last time we explored the core concept
Yes.
and those amazing prompt patterns. It's like we've been given a secret decoder ring
I like that.
for LLMs.
I like that analogy. And building on that, let's explore how researchers are pushing the boundaries of what these LLMs can do.
You mentioned hallucination as a major challenge. The tendency of LLMs to sometimes make things up,
Right.
despite sounding totally convincing.
Yeah.
What's being done to address that?
Researchers are exploring several fascinating approaches. One of them is to integrate LLMs with external knowledge sources.
Okay.
Imagine an LLM that can not only access its vast internal knowledge,
Yeah.
but also tap into the internet or specialized databases
Right.
in real time.
So instead of just relying on what it was trained on,
Right.
it can actually fact-check itself and pull in up-to-date information. That's like giving it a superpower.
Exactly. It's like having a research assistant who constantly verifies the LLM's claims, making it far more reliable.
That makes a lot of sense. But beyond just having access to more information,
Mm-hmm.
are there ways to improve the LLM's actual reasoning abilities? I mean, can we teach them to think more logically?
That's a really exciting area of research. One technique that's gaining traction is
Okay.
called chain of thought prompting.
Okay.
Instead of just asking the LLM a question directly,
Uh-huh.
you guide it through a step-by-step reasoning process.
So instead of what's the capital of France,
Yeah.
it's more like, okay, France is in Europe. European countries have capitals. What's the most famous city in France?
That's a great example. By explicitly prompting the LLM to articulate its thought process, we can not only get more accurate answers,
Oh, wait.
but also gain insights into how it arrived at those answers.
That's incredible. It's almost like we're peeking into the LLM's mind and watching it work.
Yeah.
But does this only work for problem solving?
Right.
Or can it be applied to more creative tasks as well?
It's actually proving to be really effective for creative tasks, too.
Really?
Researchers are finding that chain of thought prompting can improve the quality of stories,
Wow.
poems, and even musical compositions.
Wow. So by guiding the LLM thought process,
Yeah.
we can actually make its creative output more compelling and sophisticated.
Exactly. It's another way that prompt engineering is pushing the boundaries of what's possible with these powerful tools.
All of this is really highlighting how much LLMs are evolving, almost mirroring the way humans learn and adapt.
Yeah.
Speaking of adaptation, we talked about instruction tuning earlier, how it's like giving LLMs a crash course in following instructions. Are there other ways that researchers are making LLMs more adaptable?
One groundbreaking approach is called in-context learning.
Okay.
It allows LLMs to learn from new examples or instructions without needing to be retrained from scratch.
So instead of needing a massive data set and tons of computing power to learn something new,
Yeah.
the LLM can pick it up from just a few examples in the prompt.
That's the idea. It's a huge leap forward in LLM adaptability, making them much more versatile
Yeah.
and efficient learners.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're witnessing the evolution of artificial intelligence in real time.
Yeah.
But with all this talk about LLMs evolving
Yeah.
and becoming more powerful,
Yeah.
I can't help but wonder about the flip side,
Yeah.
the potential downsides.
It's crucial to acknowledge those.
Yeah.
One of the biggest concerns is, of course, the possibility of misuse.
Of course.
LLMs can generate incredibly realistic and persuasive text,
Right.
which could be used to spread misinformation
Yeah.
or create deepfakes.
It's like giving someone a powerful megaphone without any instructions on responsible use. What's being done to address that?
It's a multifaceted challenge. On the technical side, researchers are working on watermarking techniques that would make it easier to identify LLM-generated content. On the societal side, it's about promoting media literacy and critical thinking skills so people are less susceptible to manipulation.
So it's about recognizing that LLMs are tools,
Yes.
and like any tool that can
Right.
be used for good or bad, it's our responsibility to guide their development and use them ethically.
Exactly. And another concern is ensuring these models are fair and unbiased. Since LLMs are trained on massive data sets,
Yeah.
they can inherit biases present in that data.
So if the data itself reflects societal biases,
Yes,
the LLM might unknowingly perpetuate those biases in its output.
precisely. Addressing this requires a multi-pronged approach. It starts with being mindful of the data used to train these models, actively working to identify and mitigate biases in the data itself.
So it's not just about making LLMs smarter, but also about making them fairer and more reflective of the diverse world we live in.
Absolutely, and it's an ongoing challenge that requires continuous research and collaboration.
This is all so much more nuanced than I initially thought. We've gone from geeking out over prompt patterns to grappling with the serious implications of these powerful technologies.
That's the thing about deep dives.
Yeah,
We uncover not just the shiny surface, but also the intricate depths.
well said. And speaking of depths,
Yeah,
we've still got one more part to go.
we do.
We've explored the foundations, delved into the challenges,
Yeah.
and next time we'll surface with real-world applications
Yes.
and cutting-edge research that's shaping the future of prompt engineering.
I can't wait to see what we uncover next. Join us for the final part of our prompt engineering odyssey, where we'll see these powerful tools in action.
Welcome back to the deep dive. I'm feeling like we've just completed an intense training montage, getting our brains prepped for the world of prompt engineering.
I like where your head's at. And for this final round,
Okay.
let's step out of the theoretical ring
Yeah.
and see prompt engineering in action, real-world application. Cutting-edge research, the stuff that gets me really excited.
Let's do it. I'm ready to see how these powerful tools are actually being used
Yeah.
to solve real-world problems. Where do we start?
How about healthcare?
Oh.
One of these research papers highlights how LLMs are being used to personalize medical diagnoses,
Okay.
treatment plans.
Hold on, AI doctors. Are we talking robot surgeons now?
Not quite robots, but think
Yeah.
of it this way. A doctor has access to an LLM
Yeah.
that's been trained on a massive data set of medical records, research papers,
Right.
clinical trials, basically, a medical library on steroids.
So the doctor can ask this LLM specific questions about a patient's symptoms,
Yes.
and the LLM analyzes all that data to offer insights.
Exactly. It's like having a super-powered medical consultant
Wow.
who can help doctors make more informed decisions, potentially leading to more accurate diagnoses and personalized treatment plans.
That's incredible. It seems like prompt engineering could really revolutionize healthcare, making it more efficient and effective.
Yeah.
But what about patients who
Yeah.
don't have easy access to doctors?
Mhm.
Can prompt engineering help there, too?
Absolutely. LLMs are also being used to develop chatbots
Okay.
that can provide medical advice and support to patients, especially those in remote areas or who might not have immediate access to healthcare professionals.
So instead of having to wait for an appointment, a patient could interact with a chatbot to get answers to their questions
Right.
or even receive emotional support.
That's the idea. It's about making healthcare more accessible and empowering patients to take control of their own health.
Okay, that's healthcare.
Yeah.
But I bet this goes way beyond just medicine, right?
Right. Think about software development. Remember that output automator pattern?
The one where you can prompt an LLM to generate code
Yeah.
that automates tasks. Yeah, I remember that one. Sounded pretty magical.
Oh, that's not just theory.
Okay.
It's being applied right now to streamline software development workflows and even help developers write better code. Imagine being able to simply describe a function you need, and the LLM spits out the code for you.
That would be a game changer.
Mhm.
But could an LLM really write code that's good enough to use in a real project?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be full of bugs?
Actually, because these LLMs are trained on massive knowledge bases, they've learned to write code that's often more efficient and less error-prone than what a human might write. Plus, they can help with code analysis,
Right.
catching potential bugs and security vulnerabilities before they become a problem.
Wow. So it's not just about speed, it's about quality and security too.
Yes.
Prompt engineering is really transforming the way software is built.
It is. And it's not just the technical fields that are being revolutionized. Think about the creative industries.
Okay.
Writers, artists, musicians, even game designers are using prompt engineering to push the boundaries of their craft.
LLMs for creative work.
Yes.
I can't even imagine.
Imagine a writer struggling with writer's block. They could prompt an LLM
to
Right.
generate different story ideas,
Yeah.
character backstories, or even dialogue. It's like having a brainstorming partner who
Right.
never runs out of ideas.
So instead of staring at a blank page,
Right?
the writer can have a conversation with an AI to
Yeah.
spark their creativity.
Exactly. And it's not just about generating initial ideas. LLMs can also help with developing those ideas further,
Right.
creating compelling narratives
Yeah.
and expanding creative
It's
possibilities.
blowing my mind. So we've got AI doctors,
Yeah.
AI coders, AI artists. It feels like every industry is being touched by this technology.
Well.
What's next? Flying cars.
Um, maybe not flying cars just yet, but the research side of prompt engineering is moving at an incredible pace.
Okay.
One area that's particularly exciting is the development of multimodal LLMs.
Multimodal, does that mean they can understand and generate different types of data, not just text, but
Yeah.
images, audio, video? You got it. Think about an LLM that can analyze a medical image, generate a text summary of what it sees, and then answer questions about the image in natural language. That's the power of multimodality.
That's like we're building AI that can perceive the world in a way that's closer to human experience.
Yeah.
That's incredible. But all this advanced stuff, it must require some serious computing power, right?
What about making these LLMs more accessible
Yeah.
to people who don't have access to
Both.
supercomputers?
That's a critical consideration, and researchers are working on it.
Okay.
One approach is model compression,
Okay.
essentially finding ways to shrink down these massive LLMs
Right.
so they can run on less powerful hardware.
So it's like taking a giant encyclopedia and condensing it down to a pocket dictionary
That's a good analogy.
without losing any of the essential information.
That's a great way to put it. It's about making this powerful technology more widely available, democratizing access to AI.
And I bet there's a whole area of research focused on making those prompts even better, right? Of course. It's called prompt optimization, and it's all about finding the most effective prompts to get the best results from an LLM. Researchers are developing algorithms and techniques to automatically generate and refine prompts, improving everything from accuracy and efficiency to creativity.
So it's like having an AI prompt engineer
Yes.
constantly tweaking and refining those prompts
Yes.
to get the absolute best performance out of the LLM. This is all just,
Yeah.
wow, what a journey this has been.
It has. We've gone from the basics of what a prompt is to exploring these mind-blowing applications
Right.
and research advancements. It's clear that prompt engineering isn't just a fad.
Yeah.
It's a fundamental shift in how we interact with AI, and it's only going to get more powerful and impactful.
It feels like we've been given a glimpse into the future.
It does.
And it's exciting
Yeah,
and a little bit daunting at the same time.
it is.
But I keep coming back to that idea of responsibility. We have to ensure that these powerful tools are used ethically and for the benefit of humanity.
Absolutely. It's not enough to just marvel at the technology.
Right.
We need to engage in thoughtful discussions about its implications
Yeah.
and work together to guide its development in a positive direction.
Well said. This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
Mm.
I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of prompt engineering
Been
and
glad.
the incredible potential
Yeah.
and the responsibilities that come with it.
It's been a pleasure exploring these depths with you and to all our listeners out there.
Yeah.
'Cause this is just the beginning. Keep learning, keep experimenting,
Yeah.
and most importantly, keep asking those critical questions. Who knows what amazing things you might discover.
Exactly. The future of prompt engineering is wide open, and we can't wait to see what you all do with it. Until next time,
Yes.
keep diving deep.